You step off the tube in an unfamiliar part of London, with 2 hours to kill before dinner. Explore here, kill some time in a nice pub, or hop back on the train. Guidebooks lead you to vibrant areas with popular attractions, yet they don't say if they function as neighborhoods where people live. For that, you'll need the Publicity M&S Litmus Test. It works in any British village, town, or city, telling you what kind of neighborhood you're in and what kind of pub experience you'll get. It involves finding the nearest Marks & Spencer. Because you're not just in any neighborhood, it's a Marks & Spencer neighborhood. I'm Expat Andy, broadcasting from Miami in the Sunshine State. This is Publicity, the guidebook gap, where guidebooks end and understanding begins. Travel the way it could be. Chelsea, featured in episode 1, has a full-size M&S department store on the King's Road. Architects Journal reports the current building will be demolished and redeveloped. According to former MP Greg Hands, M&S confirmed that they're staying. Building Magazine notes the new development will include a replacement supermarket on its ground and basement floors. This suggests that M&S will convert this full-service store to a large food hall, grocery shopping, for people who live here. The City of London Corporation's 24-25 report counts just 8,600 residents versus 678,000 daily workers. Compare that to the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea, which has 147,500 residents, including around 41,400 in Chelsea alone. That changes everything about the pubs in these neighborhoods. Act 1. The Decoder Key. M&S operates 3 store formats. Tier 1. Full-line department store. Multi-floor department stores with clothing, homeware, furniture, beauty, and a food hall. 80,000 to about 133,000 square feet. M&S has been closing these town centre stores, consolidating and relocating to cheaper retail parks. The town centre stores that remain are in thriving, affluent areas such as Chelsea and Richmond, neighbourhoods with stable residents, families, and dependable disposable income. Tier 2. M&S food halls. A new focus for M&S, big grocery stores, supermarket style. 10,000 to 21,000 square feet, with car parks and wide aisles for families pushing trolleys. M&S wants 420 of these by 2026. They signal strong residential areas, suburbs, places with settled communities doing weekly shops. Tier 3. M&S Simply Food. The little ones, 2,000 to 10,000 square feet. Meal deals, sandwiches, grab-and-go salads. Train stations, airports, petrol stations, highway service stations, hospitals, and office districts. Designed for convenience, not weekly shopping. They have the highest rents, but excellent profit margins. Premium pricing that works because busy professionals are not comparison shopping. These tell you transient population, office workers, commuters, not residents, not families, and not community. I'm not speculating. I worked in a traditional high street Marks & Spencer department store. It was the anchor store that kept people coming to the town centre in different times with different shopping patterns. It closed a few years ago. M&S opened bigger stores at retail parks with car parks and cheaper rent. The high street could not compete, and it's never been the same. Once you've seen this pattern a few times, it becomes impossible to unsee. The economic reality is that many older buildings are simply too costly to retrofit for modern technology, air conditioning, and energy efficiency standards. Contemporary customers want to park at stores closer to their homes, not have to take public transport into a town centre. Back in the city, I walked the 2 miles from Temple Station up to Fleet Street to ye old Cheshire Cheese at 145 Fleet Street, EC 4A 2BP, then up Ludgate Hill to St Paul's Cathedral and on to Fenkirk Street Station, right through the heart of the city. I counted Marks & Spencer locations as I walked. 2 Tier 3 Simply Foods rail convenience stores at Cannon Street and Fenkirk Street stations. Grab-and-go foods for commuters. I widened my search to the entire historic City of London area and only found 2 additional M&S locations. 1 Tier 3 Simply Food large convenience store at 15 Bishopsgate, EC2N 3NW. Signage says it's a food hall, but square footage and type of produce displays and grab-and-go packaging clearly signal convenience store. 1 Tier 3 Simply Food large convenience store at 323 to 324 High Holborn, WC1V 7PU. Interesting to note also a Tier 1 full-line department store at Finsbury Pavement, just outside the old city wall. M&S clearly being strategic, retaining a food shop on the way out to the city for office workers at the end of the day, while also serving the dense, affluent residential neighbourhoods immediately beyond the square mile. No Tier 1 full-line department stores. No Tier 2 food halls. No Tier 3 franchise petrol station and hospital stores. It's not just M&S. There's no supermarket brands in the city either. No Sainsbury's, no Tesco, no Waitrose. Okay then, M&S man, what's this got to do with London travel and London pubs? Anyone like to picnic in London parks? Snack or microwave a frozen meal at your hotel room? I do. I choose my London hotel location based on proximity to an M&S food store because of this. And here's why all this matters for the pubs. Act 2. The work in pubs. The old Bank of England pub sits at 194 Fleet Street, EC4A 2LT. This was an actual Bank of England branch from 1888. A Grade 2 listed building built to make you feel the weight of British finance. Architect Sir Arthur Blomfield designed it as the Law Courts branch in 1866 in grand Italianate style. Imposing neoclassical architecture, columns, the works. Vaults once stored gold bullion and the crown jewels. The bank moved out in 1975. Fuller's turned it into a pub in 1994, preserving the original banking hall with its soaring ceilings, ornate plasterwork, chandeliers, dark wood panelling. Macmullan's has run it since 2019, and it's a regular on every historic London pub's list. And for good reason. It's stunning. But here's what the guidebooks do not tell you. I was there mid-afternoon, late Tuesday lunchtime, that time of day when the space feels more like a fine Italian cafe than pub. I ordered a pie and a pint and found a table near the back, close to the vault entrance. I'm sitting there taking in the architecture when the table next to me gets new arrivals. 3 men, early to mid-40s, suits without jackets, you know that business casual city look. Expensive shirts, good watches, the polish that comes with money and handling other people's money. They order, settle in, and start talking. Not about football, not about the much maligned Northern Line, or asking about their weekends, their kids, or the latest club. They're discussing crop reports. And nobody finds this strange. The bartender doesn't blink. The other tables are similar. This really gets my attention now. Hushed business conversations, possible contract negotiations. The pub is not where they escape work. It's where they do work. Remember the Cross Keys in Chelsea on episode 1? When developers wanted to convert to luxury flats, the community saved it. When you enter the Cross Keys today, you'll see people reading, chatting with neighbors, meeting friends, and shoppers having a refreshment break. A relaxing third space that's neither work nor home. The neighborhood's living room. The old Bank of England? With no homes nearby, the pub serves as office worker conference room and dining room for weary tourists like me. Social planning experts like John Grindrod, author of Concretopia, have traced Britain's shift in urban patterns, Victorian-era industrial age densification, post-war suburban flight, and a return to city living as gentrification took hold. The City of London bucks that trend. It has not drawn residents back. It's gone in the other direction. It's a fascinating mix. Office life juxtaposed with top tourist spots. You can see it in the pub's clientele, and somehow it works. Don't believe me? Book a table, order a pie and a pint, and observe the room. Let's hop over to Leadenhall Market, Gracechurch Street, EC3V 1LT. The market sits in the historic heart of Roman Londinium, where Roman roads like Bishopsgate and Leadenhall Street follow ancient routes, and the Forum and Basilica once stood beneath today's cobblestones and arches, parts of which were uncovered in archaeological excavations and remain preserved below modern buildings. The Romans arrived in Britain in 43 AD, settling in what is now London. To many Romans, Britannia was remote, primitive, and mysterious. Historian Cassius Dio got straight to the point. They dwell in tents, naked, and without shoes. Not exactly a jolly of a business trip to be a Roman soldier on assignment to Britain. The Romans endured, and in 70 AD, we got a forum on the site of today's Leadenhall Market. The name Leadenhall likely comes from the lead-roofed mansion built by Sir Hugh Neville around 1296. By the early 14th century, the site had become a trading hub. Meat and fish were sold on the site from around 1321, with cheesemongers appearing in 1397. The estate passed to the City of London in 1408, thanks to Lord Mayor Richard Dick Whittington. After a fire destroyed the original hall in 1494, it was replaced with full market facilities. It became a rough, raucous place, selling hides, meat, poultry, and game. It was the first area in London to sell cutlery, and one of the earliest where women could work. The market survived the Great Fire of 1666. Despite the market being restructured into separate trade-in sections, the financial district grew increasingly snooty at the prospect of rough-and-tumble butchers and meat trading on its doorstep. The city corporation secured parliamentary powers to abandon the hide and meat markets, shifting them to the newly constructed Smithfield Market. In 1881, architect Sir Horace Jones was hired to design a respectable arcade for the poultry market. Jones redesigned the market with a brightly painted Victorian wrought iron and glass arcade over cobbled lanes, inspired by Milan's Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II. This Grade II listed gem still stands today, a dramatic contrast to the sleek modern offices around it. You might recognize it as Diagon Alley in Harry Potter. It's easy to see why. Historic atmosphere, glowing ironwork, Cobblestones, cozy pubs. It should feel magical.
Wake up, make the bed, coffee and the paper red. Go to work, wait in line, keep your eyes upon the time. Earn your wage, pay the rent. Going home is heaven sent. Finally, you are free, falling as you watch TV. Go to sleep.
If you've already visited Leadenhall Market, you know where I'm heading with this story. The pub. Specifically one named after a goose running wild and free at the market. Old Tom's Bar and its big daddy, the Lamb Tavern, at 10 to 12 Leadenhall Market, EC3V1LR. At street level, you'll see the traditional Victorian pub frontage of the Lamb Tavern. Hanging flower baskets, real ales advertised on chalkboards outside. I've got some really fun stories about the Lamb Tavern, and they're going to be on the Watchmaker Circle section of our website. So for now, let's leave the crush of finance bros gathered outside the Lamb Tavern, step to its side, and through the door, down steep curving steps to Old Tom's Bar. On my last visit to Leadenhall Market, I ducked in, no pun intended, I ducked in out of the rain during a midweek lunchtime rush. As usual, the Lamb Tavern was absolutely rammed. Pun definitely intended. The crowd spilled out onto the cobblestones running through the market. The noise level was intense. Conversations, competing, glasses clinking, a stand-up crowd, literally. How they can go back to crunching financials after a strong ale, I don't know. I leave the crowd and descend to the quiet calm of the Old Tom's Bar cellars. I ordered a pint of Young's Winter Warmer, a delicious champion cask ale that the London Economic website calls the Beaujolais Nouveau of beer, and served in a lovely old-style dimpled beer mug that has a beautiful stained glass style graphic of a lamb on it. I find a quiet corner and study my London map. Soon, two guys enter my quiet cellar alcove room, early to mid-30s in age. Your standard city uniform, casual, no ties, expensive shirts and coats. They're sitting close enough that I cannot help but overhear. So where are you on your Q4 quota? I'm at 87%, but I need 2 more this week or I'm in trouble. Sales targets at the pub, at lunch, in a market location of some 800 years and a building that Victorian traders used, standing where medieval market stalls once operated. By now, you know exactly what you're watching. Sit and experience authentic city culture. It's how London's financial industry operates. Over a pint of beer at lunchtime. Act 3. The Historic Monument. The Old Cheshire Cheese, located at 145 Fleet Street, EC4A 2BP. Possibly London's most famous historic pub, though you might have missed it tucked down an alley off of Fleet Street. The name sounds a little bit Disney, but it's rooted in real history. E comes from old printing conventions. Typesetters used a Y to represent the Old English letter, the thorn, which stood for TH. The original name was the Old Cheshire Cheese, with old likely added later for atmosphere. A Grade 2 listed building rebuilt in 1667 after an earlier pub was destroyed during the Great Fire the prior year. The cellars are possibly even older, maybe from a 13th century Carmelite monastery that once stood on the site. Samuel Johnson likely drank here while compiling his dictionary in the 1750s at his nearby house, 17 Gough Square. Check out the statue of his cat, Hodge, outside. Charles Dickens was a regular in the 1830s and 40s while living and working nearby. Fleet Street pubs feature throughout his novels. Again, I've got some really fun stories about the Old Cheshire Cheese on the Watchmaker Circle section of our website. In the mid-1800s through the 1980s, Fleet Street was London's newspaper district. The Times, Telegraph, Daily Express, Daily Mail, Observer, all were headquartered here. Reuters Building, Press Association, the iconic Art Deco Daily Express building. After print deadline, local workers poured into Ye Olde Cheshire Cheese. Journalists, editors, foreign correspondents, all drinking together, trading stories and networking. From 1980 into the 90s, the newspapers left. The Times to Wapping in 1986. The Telegraph to Docklands. Daily Express, Blackfriars. One by one, cheaper rent, modern facilities, better technology, more space. Rupert Murdoch's Times move to Wapping broke the print unions, and it changed British journalism forever. And in the process, it emptied Fleet Street. The community that made this pub famous moved to East London. Fleet Street stopped being Fleet Street. But Ye Olde Cheshire Cheese survived. Frankly, because it's Grade 2 listed. Protected building status. It can't be demolished. It can't be converted without extraordinary permission that will never be granted. And because it's owned by Samuel Smith's Brewery. If you're unfamiliar with Samuel Smith's, they're a heritage brewery from Tadcaster in North Yorkshire. Founded in 1758, they still brew using traditional methods. Remarkably, they still deliver in Tadcaster by horse-drawn dray, with real dapple grey Shire horses pulling carts through the town in the 21st century. Samuel Smith's own a number of historic pubs, mostly in London and the north, and they're infamous for their strict rules. No phones, no tablets or laptops. Not keep them on silent, but don't use them at all. Don't even whip your mobile out and excitedly take a photo for your socials. Staff will ask you to put them away, refuse, and you'll be invited to leave. No music, no TVs, no gaming machines. Just conversation, like pubs before screens and speakerphone shouting took over public life. The Samuel Smith's policy is divisive. Some love it. A digital detox that forces real human interaction. Others find it stifling, even performatively traditional. Me? Well, let's just say I wish Samuel Smith's would take over management of my Miami gym. Samuel Smith's isn't just preserving old pubs. They're actively enforcing a vision of what traditional pub culture could be. When you visit Ye Olde Cheshire Cheese today, you're getting two layers of history. The building shows you Samuel Johnson's London, dark wood, worn stairs, and low ceilings. The Samuel Smith rules? They show you Samuel Smith's London, a curated, intentional throwback. Don't let the rules stop you from visiting and enjoying their fine ales. Don't let them stop you supporting pub businesses. And definitely don't let them stop you experiencing living heritage. Visit on a weekday lunchtime, and it's everything you imagine a historic London pub would be. City workers grabbing lunch, tourists trying to sneak photos. I won't tell, it's okay. Travellers ticking it off their bucket list. Best experience on a cold day when the fireplaces are cranking. Fleet Street's modern bustle fades the moment you step inside. Dim lighting, creaky floors, fireplaces, staircases winding between levels of maze-like rooms, and wooden furniture worn smooth by centuries of elbows. Yes, the phone policy changes the vibe. People are actually talking. You hear voices, not sports scores or music yelling from TV sets. It feels authentic, like a 19th century Fleet Street pub, minus the cigarette smoke and print deadlines. Go on a Saturday and it might be closed, or nearly empty with that famous cellar bar shut. Why? The weekday crowds are gone. City workers are at home in the suburbs. The journalists are history. And the tourist trade? Feast or famine. It's still worth visiting. Just check the hours first.
Don't you dare leave me here standing, longing for a dance. Walk right up, your eyes are asking. Time to take the chance.
The old Cheshire cheese survived the newspapers leaving. Survived because it's protected by law, owned by a brewery committed to preservation in a wealthy area generating tourist traffic. What's been saved? The structure, the architecture with rules designed to recreate a traditional atmosphere. Not the journalists, neither the community or organic social culture that made the place legendary. Maybe preserving the form, building, atmosphere, enforced social space. Maybe that's better than nothing. When the Cross Keys reopened in Chelsea, it reopened for someone, for the community that saved it, for people whose daily lives includes that pub. When Ye Olde Cheshire Cheese opens on a Monday morning, it opens for tourists, for city workers on lunch break, for people experiencing curated tradition. It's a different thing, entirely. When it comes to Ye Olde Cheshire Cheese, I like it. Thank you, Samuel Smiths, for your great stewardship of this historic treasure and your expert management of a thriving modern business in an antique Grade II listed building.
If I say that we will keep it to one short song, if I promise to behave and do nothing wrong, we might be having fun before too long, before too long.
Act 4. What this means for visitors. Here's what you need to know if you're visiting the city. First, absolutely go. Nowhere else can you visit or drink where Samuel Johnson compiled his dictionary. Stand where Dickens raised a glass, or see the spot where the Great Fire of 1666 was stopped. The building plaques tell us the tale. You'll walk streets that follow the exact layout of Roman Londinium, and you'll find pub basements built into Roman wall foundations and ancient crypts. The city is far more than a global financial centre. It's London's origin point, where it all began 2,000 years ago. But plan your visit carefully, for it surely depends on the type of experience you'll get versus the type of experience you actually want.
If you're wondering how you're doing, well, I'm a big fan. If you like the amber light and the sound of the band, if you're wondering what I'm thinking, I want to dance with you again.
Weekday lunchtimes, noon to 2 p.m, when the city comes alive. This is the city at full tilt. Pubs filled with suits. More metaphor than dress code these days. The air hums with talks of deals, markets, and meetings. It's intense, focused, and fascinating. If you want to see how the square mile actually operates, this is your moment. You might assume finance moved entirely to Canary Wharf, the way that journalism left Fleet Street. But walk through the city at lunchtime, and you'll see otherwise. The crowds and the thriving pubs, well, they tell a different story. The downside? The crowds. Tables are scarce, and it's pricey, £7 to £8 per pint, compared to £5 to £6 elsewhere. You're up against regulars who know what they want and only an hour to get it. This is work culture with beer, still a form of community, just one shaped by quotas, spreadsheets, and deadlines. My recommendation? Do it. Pick a pub like the Old Bank of England for its atmosphere and its space, or one in Leadenhall Market, right next to Lloyd's of London, that bold masterpiece of Bowerlist architecture by Richard Rogers. Go on a Tuesday or a Wednesday around 1 p.m. Find a corner if you can, and observe. It's educational and fascinating. Just know what you're seeing. Finance culture on display, not neighborhood life. Unless, of course, you count this as a neighborhood in its own, very specific way. Weekday evenings, 5 to 7 p.m., the after-work crowd. City workers unwinding, metaphorical ties loosened, sometimes even literal ones. The vibe is more relaxed than at lunch. Conversations still drift into work, but the intensity fades as the volume rises. Later in the evening is ideal for talking to the bartenders. Ask about the pub's history. Hear their stories. They've got time now. There's no lunch rush. The suits, at this point, they're all heading home for the evening. It's also when you start noticing details you missed earlier. Like the bartender. He's wearing nail polish, serving a room full of suits. Now that's a backstory worth chasing. Wednesday evenings offer the best shot at a table. Prices are still city level, but if you want to visit city pubs and have real conversations, this is your window. Weekends. Some city pubs don't even open. No customers, no point. The pubs that do open, you'll find them eerily quiet. You might find a few tourists, some history buffs, often nobody. And that's the beauty of it. You get the place to yourself. Time to explore, admire the architecture, study Victorian tilework, spot original fixtures and carved wood, read the plaques without being jostled. You can even take photos without 50 people in the frame. It's the best time to pick the bartender's brain. They'll tell you what your guidebook won't. Do a Saturday morning walk in the city. Start at Temple Station, stroll Fleet Street to Leadenhall Market. Enjoy the strange, unsettling emptiness. There's still hotels with guest needs. Some businesses remain open. Just call ahead. Pop over to Chelsea and feel why Chelsea residents fought to save their pubs. Chelsea has locals on Saturdays. Weekend life. Enjoy both neighbourhoods for what you can now predict them to be ahead of your visit. Act 5. Your superpower. Find the Marks & Spencer, your instant decoder. Full department store? You're in a wealthy residential area. Expect pubs with locals, conversation, and community. Large food hall? It's a stable suburban neighborhood. The pubs will be serving regulars doing their weekly shop. Simply food convenience store only? Likely a business district or a tourist zone. The pubs will be packed at lunch and empty on weekends. No Marks & Spencer at all? Well, isn't that a horrifying prospect? This tells you that you're either in a hyper-local small neighborhood or, sadly, one that's in decline. Pubs will reflect whatever community is left. That's your publicity superpower, understanding the logic by predicting the neighborhood and its pub culture from its grocery stores, not relying on your guidebook. While your friends stumble into random pubs, hoping that they're good, you'll know exactly what you're walking into. That's the Publicity M&S Litmus Test. A quick, reliable neighborhood decoder. It works in any British neighborhood. I'm Expat Andy. You've been listening to Publicity, the Guidebook app, where guidebooks end and understanding begins. Travel the way it could be. Find us at publicitythepodcast.com for maps, photos, everything you need to explore these neighborhoods yourself, and extra content in our Watchmakers Circle. See you in the next episode. Remember, every pub, every neighborhood has a story. If you know where to look, you just need the right travel tools.